Dear reader/listener, if you're beginning this audio version of Taught on week 10, I would advise going back to listen to weeks 1 through 9 and the foreword and prologue. All videos are on the YouTube channel Taught at Taught 2022. I wish I had had the foresight to put this message on each video, but when I started this project, I wasn't sure anyone would even listen. Having said that, this character's journal will make much more sense if you start at her beginning. Thank you for reading or listening. A teacher. Taught, Week 10. Monday, October 24th, 2016, 7 a.m. As luck would have it, I am sick. And I have to be here at school. And I have to be here about 14 hours. The upside is that Pauline is not talking to me. And a second upside is that I have Friday off. I am holding tight to that one. Still Monday, October 24th, 2016, 10 a.m. I just went through my school calendar and calculated full weeks of school until the next big break. Next week, Friday is an in-service day, so only a 4-day week. I don't consider it a full week unless I have students every day. The week after, I have to attend a training for a Common Core cadre that I'm a part of, free breakfast and lunch. After that, one full week, and then Thanksgiving break. Still Monday, October 24th, 2016, 8:30 p.m. I feel a little guilty about my ode to helicopter parents and pissed parents earlier. I had a great round of conferences, and I forget how many families do support what I am doing. The coolest thing is how many families of former students drop in just to see how I am or ask about my family. I needed this. That is why I teach. That connection. Knowing that at some point you, that kid, and their family were all working together to move a young life forward. Too bad we get so caught up in all the other crap in education. The downside of the evening was twofold. I am sick. It's just a cold, but a red nose and watery eyes are not the components of a good conference face. Also, PTO provided an awesome taco bar. Now, my cold did not prevent me from making an epic taco salad and following that with what I will call a dessert trio: brownies, chocolate cake, and a scoop of some creamy concoction with Oreos in it. I can almost relive the deliciousness, except my heartburn is now reminding me why this was such a bad idea. I had 12 conferences tonight, and during the ninth one, I had a terrible sneezing fit. Repetitive sneezing plus taco bar plus dessert trio equals what my grandma used to call breaking wind. I can only hope that the loudness of my sneezing covered the little trumpet sounds coming from my other end. After the conference, I went to the bathroom and discovered a bit of snot on top of my nose. Just a bit, but it was clear as to what it was. And oh, look, there's some on my left glasses lens. As I grimace at my snot flecked reflection and begin the cleanup process, I discover the other alteration in my appearance. My third tooth back from the front is completely missing. Oh, wait, it's not missing. It's covered with a bean skin and just looks like it's missing. I rapidly calculate how many conferences I have had between taco salad and now. 5. Tuesday, October 25th, 2016, 4 p.m. There supposedly is a magical land out there where teachers don't have to have meetings during conference week. Since I'm not in it, I have a meeting with Derek today. It's for, you guessed it, my performance plan. We each fill out our required paperwork, and then the rest of the time is spent with me helping him correct papers for the classroom management class he teaches at the university. I like Derek. He's real, and we can say real things to each other. No hoops. As I leave the meeting, he tells me it's bullshit that I'm on a performance plan and that he thinks Anita is having a rough year. But I need to up my game because he may not be the only one attending my next eval. That's all he can say, but he wanted me to have a heads up. It was looking like mid-February would be the next evaluation. He hoped that helped me. Yes, Derek, that's super helpful. Now I know which thing to move to the top of my stress list. And since one meeting per day was not enough, we had a staff meeting after school. That meeting was to tell us that we are getting a new online gradebook system. There are mandatory training modules that must be completed in the next 30 days. Over our Thanksgiving break, the new system will be set up, and the expectation is that we begin using it November 28th. The final thing Anita brought up at the staff meeting was that some people are not turning their lesson plans in by Monday each week, and she only received PLC documentation for one PLC group this week. I don't remember the last time I turned lesson plans in. And what the hell PLC documentation is she talking about? Later, I found out that no one in our PLC received the assignment for last week's PLC. Anita reassured us she would give us an extra week to do the assignment, though. And speaking of PLCs, I would like to do an informal poll in my PLC to find out if anyone is willing to trade teaching partners. If I could choose someone that was the worst fit for me personally to have to work with, it would be Pauline. She's not a bad person, but we are polar opposites. She's constantly seeking glory and recognition and wants to be the best at everything. I want to stay off the radar, and recognition should only come in the form of money. And if you are the best at anything around here, that translates to more work and unwanted colleague interactions. At the same time, I resent the hell out of Pauline coming in and trying to take over. There is something disrespectful and judgmental about her attitude towards her job, my job, and our department that I can't quite put my finger on. While it seemed that Anita and I had hit a turning point, she runs a close second as the person that I would never want to work with. When she came to visit me on my plan time today, I sensed that something was afoot. Maureen is not coming back this year. Pauline is being hired on as a full-time teacher. Honest to God, I would have preferred Anita kick me in the face. I don't know. Maybe it was the fact that no one asked me what I thought about working with Pauline. And make no mistake, I'll work with her the most. Maybe it was the thought of all the extra work this was going to be to collaborate with someone who essentially would be a first-year teacher. Maybe it was the memory of my problems with Paulo and knowing that my stress level would not be decreasing anytime soon. Maybe it was the fact that all this was going on during parent teacher conference week. Whatever piece or pieces fell into place, of one thing I'm sure, this was the beginning of my silent phase. Or maybe I should say semi silent phase. The phase where I no longer argue, defend, or postulate about anything. I just stay quiet because I have no fight for anything left in me. And while that does not mean I am accepting, I will be silent about what I really want or hope for because I won't make it until the end of this school year if I continue to think any of this is in my control. I thanked Anita for letting me know, and before she left the room, I had returned to answering my endless stream of emails that needed immediate attention. They say that drowning victims have a moment of clarity and peace right before they die. I am definitely drowning. Wonder when I'll have my moment of clarity and peace. I wonder how they know this. I mean, drowning victims means you die, right? Oh, shit. Maybe it's a struggle all the way to the end. And this is a made up story to make the loved ones of drowning victims feel better. Wednesday, October 26th, 2016, 8:30 p.m. All good things must come to an end. One evening of great conferences must be paid for by an evening where you have a couple of crappy ones. The nice thing was both awful conferences were back to back and they were within my first hour of conferences. The first bad one was with a family whose student was staying in the school system by a thread. In fact, he had been in so much trouble that he often missed my class due to in school suspension, or ISS, from problems elsewhere. Many days I received an email stating that his work for the day needed to be brought to the ISS room. And yes, I do feel the need to do a mini rant here about ISS. The assumption that any teacher can grab the materials for the day and walk them down to the ISS room is faulty. First of all, I do teach. If the material were set up in a teach yourself way, Well, I'd be out of a job, wouldn't I? And furthermore, the ISS teacher does not know what I'm teaching or how to teach it. So when I get the materials for the day request, what they really want is something to keep the kid busy while the kid is in ISS. Second, sometimes I get the request for materials for the day during my current working day. I don't have the luxury of taking a 5-minute walk anywhere during the school day unless it is my designated plan time or lunchtime. And my favorite is when the ISS teacher calls me during class to ask me to come clarify the materials I brought down for said student. It's a ridiculously ineffective system for all of us. Okay, back to the conference. On the days Christian, here's a name that is now ruined for any future children for me. And let's be honest, his parents guaranteed themselves a little devil when they chose that name. When he isn't in ISS, he is often absent or tardy. Since I have him first hour, it's usually my class that he misses. Anyway, we are in a loop where I have tried to get him to do the same 3 assignments for about 6 weeks. I have sent copies of things to ISS. He's a frequent visitor, home with him, and via email to his mom. I also have worked with him in class to do these assignments when he's been there. And here's what happens. Note, excuses are listed in chronological order. The ISS teacher lost his papers, according to him and his parents, and the ISS teacher swears she gave them to him. He put the completed assignments in his backpack and someone took them. He left his completed assignments in his mom's car and then they were gone. He tried to work on it, but he didn't understand how to do it. Mom emailed me this one. She didn't understand either. He wasn't here when I handed that out. At this point, I suggested we do everything on a computer and began uploading everything or creating a modified version of it that could go on a computer. And my personal favorite, he refused to do the assignments because he had already done these things a million times. Since I have been talked to by Anita and Derek several times about this situation, I'm not surprised when they both show up for the conference. Their take on this problem is that I am currently the only teacher that the parents are still on good terms with and who has not kicked the kid out of class. But they believe I need to find a way to make this situation work because zeros in the grade book is not a solution. And this is what the parents are upset about and the reason for the conference. Jesus. I'm not using his name in vain here. It's a call for him to get his namesake straightened out. The parents are formal when they come in. They are Texas ish. Boots, worn jeans. Dad has a belt buckle and is wearing a ball cap. Mom is pretty in a worn out way with beautifully manicured hands. I pull Christian's file and we go through why he has an F for me and how these assignments need to be turned in. His dad then turns the entire conversation into a thinly restrained verbal assault on Derek for a disciplinary action that resulted from an incident during PE. They spend most of the time going back and forth with Derek, trying to bring the discussion back to ELA. At the end, the dad looks at me and tells me I look like a nice lady. But as far as he is concerned, I can shove those papers up my ass, and his son's grade had better be changed by tomorrow, or he is going to the superintendent. On that note, they left. How unfair is that? And if I followed all of this correctly, I'm supposed to just put passing grades in for work that I have never seen. I guess I'm just supposed to take the parent's word that he did it and they saw it, and they are both qualified to assess whether it was passing or not. And what exactly does a nice lady look like? Anita tells me to put passing grades in until this mess is sorted out because they don't want this family to have something else to divert to. In all likelihood, at the rate Christian is racking up points, he won't be in the school much longer this year anyway. Really? I'm expected to put fake grades in. I swear I thought she was joking when she said it. So that's where 6 years of higher education and countless hours of professional development have gotten me. I make up grades and put them in the system, as long as everyone passes and no parents are pissed off. My second bad conference was equally ick. No administration at this one. Just one very concerned mom that her little girl wasn't living up to her full potential. So here's my grading system. A is excelling and doing it above grade level. B is excelling at grade level, and C is performing at grade level. I rarely give D's and F's. The only way you can get either is simply for not doing the assignments. So Grace currently has a B plus. She cares about her grades, but she, for whatever reason, cannot push herself to greater heights. I personally believe she's a little immature for her age, and her brain isn't ready to fully focus on creating well thought out written responses. She gets the right answer, but she doesn't articulate it well, nor does she seem to care as long as the content is correct. When given opportunities to revise and make things better, she usually decides she's good with her grade and opts not to. She's 13. I'm okay with this attitude, but her mom is not. Poor Grace sits there with her head hanging as her mom tells me first of all the academic success Grace has had since preschool up until my class. Then she tells me of her own success. She graduated magna cum laude in business. And she wraps things up with a detailed list of things for me to report each day to ensure that Grace is successful. And if she isn't, mom will deal with that on her end. Seems as if Grace and I both have been put on a mini performance plan. I take the list. Yeah, she printed it off, and it's a checklist. And then tell mom all the awesome things I can think of about Grace. She listens, and when I'm done, she asks, if Grace is so great, why didn't I give her an A? Since we have already gone over my grading system, I tell her that some great things aren't measured by grades. Her tight smile and terse tone inform me that I might be getting a call from my admin soon about my grading practices. And you know what? Fuck it. If I'm being forced to give a kid who has done no work all quarter a passing grade, I can up Grace's grade to an A minus next quarter. At least she does the work and cares about doing well. But it wasn't all bad. Well, bad in that way. Megan's mom came in to tell me how being my student aide was changing Megan's life. They are struggling with her at home, and Megan got caught drinking. Wow. Megan's 14. But whenever mom threatens her with not being my student aide, Megan falls apart and does whatever mom needs her to. Even when stepdad uses the belt, it doesn't have the same effect as not being my student aide. Jesus. Again, a prayer, and this time for something entirely different. She's wondering if Megan can be my student aide next semester too. What do I say to this? Yes, and please don't use a belt on a 14-year-old. Then I wonder if I should report this. Is this child abuse? Megan doesn't ever talk about being beaten with a belt. I make a mental note to talk to the counselor. And lastly, Phil's mom, Michelle, dropped by to see me. Pauline had the gall to schedule a parent-teacher conference with her. That woman. Anyway, I assured Michelle that all was well, and this was a substitute issue, not a Phil issue. And then she dropped her bombshell. She's been diagnosed with a brain tumor, actually two, but one is more concerning. In January, she will be having surgery on the more minor of the two. After that, they're hoping to have enough information to decide how to tackle the more serious one. Right now, she's receiving radiation treatments weekly. She hasn't told Phil because the thought of telling a kid that he might lose his only remaining parent is more than what she can deal with and cope with the fact that she has a freaking brain tumor. I'm the only person she has told other than her sister. She's going to tell him soon, and she wanted to know that he would have support at school. After several hugs and tears, I tell her that I will let appropriate school personnel know, and we can get a few things set up on our end to help her and Phil. At 8:30 p.m., I was sitting in my car crying for all the things that are wrong in this world. The same world that lets a kid have hope only to snatch it away in the most painful ways. At least I think that's why I'm crying. The bottom line is that teaching hurts me to my core. I suffer with these kids and their families year after year, regardless of my snarky demeanor. Conferences make me face that suffering. Thursday, October 27th, 2016, 5 a.m. My biggest fear is that I'll open my car door one morning and find myself sitting asleep in the driver's seat. It certainly feels that I have gotten no sleep or reprieve from my day job. When I checked on Mimi this morning before I left, she was asleep on her side with her hands together. It looked like she was praying. Ugh, I'm such a shitty mother. Maybe she's praying she'll get a mom that's actually home to see her grow and develop. When I get home this afternoon, it will have been 44 hours since she has seen me. Still Thursday, October 27th, 2016, 6:30 a.m. After a lively chat with Grandma this morning, I feel drained of all life force. Apparently, my dad did not trim her bushes when she called and asked him to yesterday. He was doing a little thing I like to call work at his job. Some days I can rationalize with her. Grandma, Dad has to fly, and his schedule revolves around when people need him to take them on trips. It's hard for him to make time to do all the little things that need to be done at your house. Why don't you make a list and he'll get to it when he can? But here lately, there are far more days where rational conversation is impossible. I read somewhere that age either brings on wisdom or a second childhood. Therefore, I try to treat Grandma with the same patience I use with Mimi. My favorite is when I try to give her an example to illustrate a point. You would think I would stop using this strategy, but sometimes it is fun just to see where she'll go with it. Grandma, if you were here with me, I wouldn't be able to just leave work and come trim your bushes either. When you have a job, your employer expects you to work certain hours. That's why they pay you. Her response, I can't move in with you. You just want to sell this house. I'm not going to a nursing home. I'll trim my own damn bushes. Good luck with that. She'll never make it past the driveway carrying the loppers and maneuvering her walker. And when the saying no good deed goes unpunished was initially uttered, I'm fairly certain it was by someone who experienced a relationship with someone like my grandma. Because you see, I bought her house 10 years ago when my grandfather passed away and she could not continue with the payments. I thought I was being helpful, and she has been convinced ever since that I'm trying to take it away from her and profit from it. I'm sure she has seen a Dateline special at some point where a grandchild chose to live in a cheap apartment so she could simultaneously pay her grandmother's house payment, and it all turned out to be the scam of the century. If so, this is the longest running scam in the histories of scammers, if that's the case. And I am the worst scammer ever because I never come close to saving the money it would take me to put me in my own house. Also, her house was built in 1950, and I'll be doing good to make any money on it if I ever sell it. So, good deed done, and the punishment never stops. We ended the conversation with her explaining to me that I needed to do a better job keeping my phone conversations private. Why? I inquired. How was I not keeping them private? Well, she explained, I told her just a few weeks ago that I had gotten out of the shower to answer the phone. She watched on Good Morning America, where people can see you when you answer the phone now. So whoever called saw me naked. What did I think about that? After a frustrating 15 minutes trying to explain the fallacy of her interpretation of Good Morning America's story, she merely told me that she knew I liked for other men to see me naked, and someone should probably warn Paulo about me. Still Thursday, October 27th, 2016, 3:20 p.m. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to stay until 3:40, but I'm wiped out and I just want to go home. 3-day weekend. Still Thursday, October 27th, 2016, 9 p.m. I don't do much journaling from home because it's impossible with Mimi. Tonight, though, I'm feeling a little weird. Paulo wasn't working tonight and he made dinner for me. During dinner, he brought up a career change for me again. It seems that no matter how hard I work or try, it is not enough, or at least that's how it feels to me. I've been trying so hard to be present when I am at home and keep work at work. I became angry during the conversation and said as much. He asked me why it was wrong for him to want to help. Helping isn't criticizing, I explained. And then he asked if it was criticism to point out how crazy, stressed, and disconnected school makes me. And the short answer to that is no. He's now gone to a movie with some friends, and I'm left with my thoughts and self loathing. Who am I if I'm not a teacher? And why am I so determined to not be whoever that is? And how will we pay the bills if I don't teach?